And in the much longer ballad, what happens is that the nobleman or squire is riding through his fields, and he sees a thresherman or a sort of an agricultural labourer at work in the fields. So the squire dismounts from his horse and he says something along the lines of, "What ho, my good fellow?" Bearing in mind it's the 1600s. "What are you doing?" And the thresherman says, "Well, I'm working." And the squire says, "Well, who are you?" And he says, "Well, I'm one of your employees." So the squire feels a little bit as if he's on a back footer, a little bit embarrassed by his faux pas. That's French. So he tries to make sort of polite conversation with the thresherman, and he says, "Well, tell me about yourself, tell me about your life." And the thresherman says, "Well, I work incredibly hard, and I'm very poor, because I work for you. But I have a wife and children, and I managed to provide for them, so therefore I'm happy with my lot." Somehow, I don't imagine this song was written by a 17th century agricultural labourer, actually. But the squire says, "That's fantastic, well done, good for you, my fine fellow. Here, have a big bag of gold, a large house, and lots of land." And that's the end of the story. Yeah, right. Yeah. If only real life mirrored art, So over the centuries, that the longer ballad has sort of been, for understandable reasons, I think, has been dropped. And so all we're left with now, really, from the singing of the Copper Family and other people like that, is just the thresherman talking about his life. So this is the Thresherman. Please do join in with the chorus once you know it. Sometimes I do reap and sometimes I do mow. The other times to hedging and the ditching I do go. There's nothing goes amiss with me, a harrow or the plough. That's how I get my living, by the sweat of my brow. And when my day's work's over, I go home late at night. For in my wife and family I take a great delight. My children, they come round me with their silly little prattling toys, and that's all the pleasure that a poor man enjoys. Sometimes I do reap and sometimes I do sow. The other times do hedging and the ditching I do go. There's nothing goes amiss with me, the harrow or the plough. That's how I get my living, by the sweat of my brow. My wife, she is willing to join me in this yoke. We're just like two young turtle doves, there's never one provoked. Although the times are very bad and we are very poor, we still keep the wolves and the ravens from our door. Sometimes I do reap and sometimes I do mow. The other times do hedging and the ditching I do go. There's nothing goes amiss with me, the harrow or the plough. That's how I get my living, by the sweat of my brow. God bless all you farmers that take to us poor men. I wish them with all my heart their souls in heaven may spend, and that